Hi, this is Toby. You were probably wondering why I put up these random videos of me using different exercise equipment, working out my chest. It was, of course, to show you how great and how strong I am. No, just kidding. I wanted to use this as a kind of educational video sequence to show that there's a difference between external loads and the hypertrophy stimulus that arrives on your muscle. So the hypertrophy stimulus that arrives in your muscle is very complex. It depends on a mechanical load, on a metabolic load. I don't want to go too much into hardcore physiology here, but I want to explain you some key principles that you should keep in mind when you plan training or for yourself or as a professional. So when we talk about training for hypertrophy, there's a key principle that we have to keep in mind. You can achieve the same level of muscular effort and growth stimulus across different exercise modes as long as the internal effort and mechanical tensions are comparable. So if you're only thinking about the external load, whether it's a cable, a barbell, a machine, or dumbbells, short bells, you're only seeing part of the story. So load is the external load is only one variable. What really matters is the effective stimulus inside the muscle, which means the effective metabolic and mechanical stimulus inside the muscle. And this is where exercise mode comes into play. Guided systems like machines or fixed path pulleys reduce degrees of freedoms. That means they constrain movement. They're great for example, inexperienced users, for the elderly. And usually they block motion in the horizontal or frontal plane, so you don't need to worry about this. You can just focus on pushing or pulling in one axis, and that's it. However, that means also that fewer stabilizing motor units need to fire, because the stabilizing muscles or the motor units are not needed if you have a guided system. So to reach the same hypertrophy relevant tension and metabolic stimulus in your muscle, you generally need to have higher loads with guided rail system, in contrast to, let's say, cables or free weights. Yeah, and that's why in contrast, free weights or less guided movements demand more stability, more joint control, and more motor unit recruitment, even at lower loads. So the body is doing more internal work, even if the weight is lighter. So the bottom line is just don't judge training stimulus by external loads alone. The nervous system and musculature don't read kilograms, so they read tension and effort. And tension is, we have mechanoreceptors in our muscle cells, and we have receptors for metabolic stimuli. So this is actually what counts. So whether you're an exercise specialist, a rehab practitioner, or a researcher for your next study, remember, exercise mode influences how load turns into an actual hypertrophy stimulus. Use the right tool for the right goal, and always think beyond just the number of weight stack. Thanks for listening, and I hope this was a little bit helpful. And now hit the gym.